my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, it's a Patreon pick. It's our good friend Maff, and we're going back to 1978, the year I was born. This one I have never heard of. I've even spoke to Sam about it because she loves the original movie, the actual source for this sort of remake and show that it was on Broadway. But we are going to be watching, Dave, a movie and a screenplay by Joel Schumacher, directed by Sidney Lumet. It stars Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Richard Pryor, Ted Ross, Nipsey Russell, Dave. This one is The Wiz, based on The Wizard of Oz. It was a stage show and then it became a movie in 1978. So I know we talked about it last week and I'm treading over the same ground, but I'd never heard of it and I don't think you had, Dave. So I'm very surprised by this, watching the trailer when we did last week. So any recollection, even though when you watched it, to go, actually, I remember bits of this, or nothing at all?
No, I'm afraid there's nothing at all. I think the only thing I can think back to is, was this on when I was a kid and I just haven't seen it at all? Because I don't think this has been replayed over and over. You get that 1939 Wizard of Oz, don't you? Played with Julie Garland almost every year. In fact, I've not watched it for a couple of years now, probably, but on repeat all the time. Certainly over Christmas, I expect it to be on again. And I'd have thought this would have been played quite a lot as well. But I do remember, I think when I was a kid, I really disliked musicals. And I remember my mum having on, do you remember Jesus Christ Superstar?
I've never seen it, but yeah, it's quite a big film, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you probably heard it in the playground or parodied in the playground with Jesus Christ Superstar. Flew around the world with a Yamaha or something like that. Seem to remember. So yeah, I just remember those kind of musicals. That's the only one I remember. And again, probably I don't remember the musical as much as, it being sung around the playground or the silly little songs that kids come up with. So yeah, I'm wondering if I saw it then, maybe, but certainly have no memory of it. And coming up to it now, when Maff told me about it, I was like, fucking hell, how have I never heard about this? And you've got absolute legends in there, haven't you? With Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Rolf Harris. Sorry, no, Rolf Harris isn't in there. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Michael Jackson tangents today. But yeah, I was amazed and so weird that it's not really replayed. I was looking into it this week, and obviously I think it's replayed a lot more in America, but just on British TV, it was never there. So, I mean, how about yourself? Any kind of recollections at all?
No, it's weird because when we watched the trailer last week, I was like, how have I never seen it? Sam loves The Wizard of Oz. I think we were talking in Discord, and I think Maff, the way I typed it as usual, Dave, I think he thought Sam had never heard of The Wizard of Oz when I went, this movie. Sorry, Maff. Yeah, sorry, Maff. Wizard of Oz is Sam's favourite movie, like as a kid, and that she loves that movie. That, Grease and Dirty Dancing are like top three movies. So probably Grease is the top one for her. But yeah, never had any recollection of it. And I did show her the trailer the other day. I was like, listen, do you want to watch this with me? Because she always says, like, some of the movies, she never listens to the podcast, thank God, Dave, because I'd probably be divorced. But she does say to me sometimes, why have you watched that without me? I love that film. Or, different things. So I always say to her now, right, it depends, David. Obviously, if it's fucking necromantic, the fucking return or something, then we're not watching against them on that. But if it's something that I think we can watch together, I'll just say to her, look, I'm watching this, do you fancy it? And she was like, I've never heard of this one. I said, well, it's based on The Wizard of Oz, your favourite movie. She's like, oh, go on, shows the shoulder of the trailer. And she went, yeah, I'm not watching that. And I said, but then I actually had it on, and she was saying, what was that film? I went, yeah, I said, because some of the songs are pretty catchy, aren't they? So I said, she went, I said, well, you missed out now because I'm an hour in and I'm not starting it again for the love of God, like laughing. But I think if she probably would have watched this with me. So yeah, I have no reference point on this. Never heard of it. And the fact it was a massive stage play on Broadway and everything. It's bizarre that either of us have never heard of it. I find that because you say you didn't like musicals, Dave. Well, I've said it before, but like I've got the Blu-ray of Singing in the Rain. Like I've mentioned it before, and I love the old musicals, West Side Story, things like that. I've watched them all when I was a kid, but just does nothing for me, this. So yeah, I think Maff picked an interesting movie, and also the fact that it's all it's Motown produced as well. I think it's a really, really good talking point for the podcast.
Yeah, and there's a couple of pasty white northern blokes. I think we're the perfect people to review this movie.
Make sure you're editing this one, Dave.
So, I mean, I will say, I think I watched it for the first time this week. I think there's probably a huge amount of subtext that is in this movie that we're not able to pick up on. So we'll just do our usual, we have researched into the movie and whatever, but I think there's a lot more going on than we'll pick up on.
I think so. And I think it's a cultural movie, Dave. It's got a lot of praise in the Black community. You see that it's played quite a lot, and seeing some of the comments on YouTube and research, it's really nice to see the representation. That's what I think comes across. Whatever you think of the movie, we'll get into it, because I'm not holding back on that, but I think that's what it is. It's about representation. I think something quite important in the late 70s. So yeah, I think it's a good movie for us to talk about, and Dave also try and not cancel ourselves as well. So yeah.
Speaking of which, should we get into our trailer?
Oh yeah, hang on. Yeah, hang on. I've not even seen this yet.
Oh, shocker. Somewhere over the rainbow, but much groovier, comes the whiz.
Ah, yes, the version of Wizard of Oz where everyone's dancing, sweating, and slightly confused. That's supposed to be Michael Jackson, Dave, but it's not. Sounds like I'll do it again.
Midnight Caller or Baywatch Nights or something.
As you can tell, I've not practiced this voice yet, Dave. It could turn into Miss Piggy as we're going on, but anyway, go on.
From the director of Cool Hand Luke, no, really, comes a dancing, dizzying, disco reimagining of a classic story.
It's like the Wizard of Oz met Soul Train in Studio 54, and I'm putting on an Irish accent now, it's like, Dave, they just decided to wing it. Oh, you're so silly. Bubbles, come and play with my ball.
Diana Ross stars as Dorothy, not a bright-eyed farm girl this time, but a 30-something schoolteacher who gets swept away by a tornado into a musical fever dream.
She's so traumatized, she spends half the film singing at street lamps. She does as well.
Along the way, she meets the Scarecrow, played by the pre-King of Pop Michael Jackson, who proves that no brain is no problem when you can moonwalk through danger.
It's easily the best performance by a man made of straw since Keir Starmer on Question Time. I definitely hadn't read this before.
Together, they'll journey through a psychedelic New York City filled with flying monkeys, evil sweatshop witches, and dance numbers that last longer than most people's patience.
And yes, it's impossible to look away like a glitter bomb went off in a GCSE drama class. Sorry.
The Wiz, where courage, heart, and rhythm are everything, and subtlety was left behind somewhere in Kansas.
Honestly, it's camp, it's chaotic, it's completely bonkers, and I loved every second of it. Dave, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but this is not Michael Jackson.
It's magic. It's madness. It's the film that asked, what if Oz was fabulous? And also slightly terrifying.
And the answer was yes. Yes, it is.
The Wiz. Because sometimes there's no place like home, especially after 2.5 hours of disco nightmares. At a bustling Thanksgiving dinner in a Harlem apartment, 24-year-old elementary school teacher Dorothy Gale celebrates with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Aunt Em playfully scolds Dorothy for living at home instead of striking out on her own. After the meal, while Dorothy tidies up, her dog Toto slips out into the snow. Rushing after him, Dorothy is caught in a powerful blizzard. As the storm intensifies, a swirling, magical whirlwind of snow sweeps her and Toto away, transporting them to the mysterious land of Oz. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Well, Dave, I have a story before we get into the movie. I've got to say, Diana Ross is 34 when this was made, Dave. She's not 25. I think I've gone down. Yeah, I've gone down a right rabbit hole about how she got the role, and people were sort of moved her to the side. Obviously, star power, who she was, and everything. But yeah, there was also what's going on with in the back end of this movie, taking it from like the stage. But it's quite topical at Maff has picked this, Dave, because having just come back from Las Vegas, while I was there, I went to the Sphere to watch The Wizard of Oz, Sam's favorite film. In the massive like screen that they have, and it's all around you. Thing they had, like when the house goes, the wind, you feel the leaves, it goes cold, and you've got like the throwing apples, the flying monkeys and that around you. You've got the vehicle, these different things making it so immersive, and you could see the AI of it, like certain bits where off camera when you watch it on telly, you don't see it as he made it, but they made everyone interact. So there's a couple of bits where you could see there was like a clipping issue and stuff like that. But it's quite interesting that we're doing this. And also, while I was there, Dave, I watched MJ1, Michael Jackson 1, Cirque du Soleil. So I have stories, Dave. So it's quite interesting. We've gone down this route with this movie. Obviously, we didn't know Maff was going to pick this. I'd never heard of it. But yeah, Wizard of Oz is quite topical. But I will say, watching it and watching the start of it, there's some great like catchy songs that I think if I'd watched this first time round, I'm not saying I'm going to go, you see, because I don't really watch musicals now, even though I've got like Singing in the Rain and that from the nostalgia. Sam bought it me for Christmas about 3 years ago. It's adamant I wanted it. She got it me, Dave. Still in the wrapper. But it's one of them things where I grew up with musicals because of my mum, my nan, watched all sorts of different movies based around that sort of stuff. As much as I love all my action stuff, yeah, it's a bit strange. Maybe that's why I'm a bit of an extrovert, Dave. I like to be an actor as such, or a very
fabulous, Chris. Fabulous,
darling. So I think that it's just something I just liked when I was a kid. I just watched these sort of movies. I think maybe because I was forced, Dave. If it wasn't Martin Riggs killing somebody, it was probably Gene Kelly doing Singing in the Rain and me pretending I could do it myself, Dave. But we won't go into that. It ruins reputation. But no. So I think what's weird about this is, and I know on the review things, it's quite in the middle. I think that I can understand why it's got a cult following. And I think quite a lot of the songs, that Motown influence is brilliant. But I think ultimately it comes down to I just think Diana Ross is the wrong person for Dorothy. I think that it doesn't work. Dorothy, like obviously Judy Garland is a young kid originally. And I think if they'd gone for a younger actress, it might have worked. But I'm with you. I don't think even the age thing matters. I just think she's a great singer, because Diana Ross is When You Tell Me That You Love Me, Dave, was my wedding song. And I've got the lyrics and like a little vinyl thing you can QR code in my living room. I'd done for me and Sam. And being the romantic, Dave, you just go up and QR code it and the song comes on YouTube straight away, or Spotify, Dave. So respect for Diana Ross for that, but I just don't think it works. And the fact that it is literally it's a different setting. It, like you said in the trailer that we've got about, it feels like a school play in stages. Like the way it's made and that. I can't really get behind it. I just feel as if I'm watching a sort of Temu version of The Wizard of Oz, if that makes sense. I think some of the songs are great, some catchy songs, but and I love the fact seeing like Jacko and everything. I just find it also weird though the way Diana Ross is talking. That then all of a sudden, that's how Michael Jackson talked, and the plastic. He was obsessed with her, wasn't he? And the plastic surgery he wanted to look like her. That's an open secret. It's not something thingy. So it's almost as if this was the influence for Jacko's. He elevated himself then, did he? He went unbelievable as a solo artist because Jackson 5 was finished. But I feel as if like I'm sort of fascinated by it, watching Diana Ross and then watching how through the 80s Michael Jackson tried to sort of morph into her in some respects. It's bizarre for me. He's obsessed with her.
Yeah, I mean, so there's lots about this.
I know there is. Sorry,
I completely agree with the movie. The music. Like some of it's really good. I've been playing it all week. That Ease On Down the Road.
I like that.
That's my favorite really one. Good. You know, and that does reoccur through the movie. But this film is so significant. You were just saying about the influence it had on Michael Jackson, and if you think about it, it was only a few years later that he came out with all these massive solo projects, and you know, his dad, which obviously is well documented, he didn't have a good relationship with his dad. And he was really quite controlling. And this was a project that kind of took him away, you know, took him to New York and away from that kind of Jackson's umbrella. And, you know, that was the start of his solo career almost. Spent a lot more time at Studio 54 apparently. You know, came out with the likes of Off the Wall and it was 84 Thriller.
Really, yeah.
And so what's interesting is it's almost this sliding doors moment, because he was obviously a good singer as a kid and everything in the Jacksons, but then even to embark on a project like Thriller, you think, I wonder if he'd have done that had he not been part of this movie, because he never really went on to have a movie career as such. He was very much all about the music, but there was something thematic or theatrical about the videos that he did and the projects that he took up, like say the whole Thriller thing. There was the movie that he did for Disney, wasn't there, that was only shown at Disneyland, Disney World, I think. And so yeah, it's just really, really interesting. But coming back to your point on Diana Ross, I mean, I'll say straight away, my bias is that 1939 Wizard of Oz. It's part of my DNA. It's just been there forever. And it is still a magical movie when I watch it now. And that transition from the black and white to the color it still hits you when you watch it now, because everything seems so vibrant and it's well done. We do need to go and we need to cover that one explicitly. So I don't want to talk about it too much. And I know you've got a lot to say about the Munchkins, but we'll definitely cover that in more detail. But I think that one of the reasons, I mean, there's the whole cinematography of Wizard of Oz, like say all the colors, the transition, all of that stuff, the music makes it so great. But fundamentally, it's about, you know, Dorothy is this young girl, but young character who is in this trapped life. She wants to get away, but then she finds herself away, and then she wants to get back home. So for me, straight away, it's like you've got this Diana Ross Dorothy, you know, who's knocking on the door of middle age, you know, probably having a bit of a midlife crisis, doesn't want to go outside. What was it? Not north past 121st Street, or it was 100 and something street. You know, she doesn't go out of her little district within New York. She doesn't even go out to explore the whole of New York. She doesn't want to go anywhere. And she's suddenly whisked away. Well, of course she wants to get back home. So for me, fundamentally, it's not just about being a different age. She's a completely different Dorothy with a different, you know, set of values. And so a different part of her life. So I agree, absolute musical legend. And, you know, she obviously had a real passion to do this project. But someone should have stepped back and said, well, you know, we should have someone who's at least a teenager. you know,
Yes.
and can play that younger sort of character. Because we like to think as we get older, we get wiser. I'm not sure it's always true with things, but there is a bit of truth in that. And so again, to cast an older Dorothy is just, it just doesn't work for me.
No, I'm with you. I think like I can get on board once you sort of get past that initial thing with her being on the screen and that, and the acting's pretty poor. But I think once we sort of get into meeting Jacko, who's the first one of the four in the real movie, the original movie, and in this that she meets, and Jacko's dance thing's great. You know, like that whole scene where they're taking him up like the scarecrow stand and all that. And
but did you not? And because I can tell you're going to move on to something else first. When she comes across Jacko. And it's like he's hanging on. You know, you're saying about it feeling like a school play.
Yeah.
Like the original, it looks like he's actually attached and he can't escape there. Whereas Jacko's literally hanging on for dear life onto this thing. So he doesn't need help to get off it. And I just found that distracting. That he had his hand through this hoop, you know, on one side, and then he was holding on the other, and it just, did you not find that weird, or was that just me and my autism?
No, I didn't see that. No, I didn't. To be fair, but I think as well is like the dance stuff. What's weird is when you watch a movie. So, like, obviously, I know it was just recently released. We tried to watch it, The West Side Story, me and Sam. And like I say, I don't watch musicals now. I remember the originals, you know, The Shark and the Jets and all that stuff. But it was terrible. You know, when you watch it, you know, even the newer one, and I know it got a bit of praise. I found it a real struggle to watch a modern movie where 1 minute we're talking, the next minute we're fucking dancing. Like Sam loves The Greatest. Yeah, exactly. I just couldn't do it. Sam loves The Greatest Showman. Absolutely loves it. Now, I watched it once. Hugh Jackman. Yeah, he's always been Wolverine. I'm not watching it again. She loves it. She watches it at least. Well, now it's been once a year or so, I suppose. But she absolutely, if it's on, she'll watch it. And honestly, I find it weird that the music's so good. It feels when they're in the settings and there's a song coming, it feels like we're watching a play and we're in a performance. Like we went to watch Wicked at Christmas. I'm not interested one bit in that, but it's Wizard of Oz, you know, based on the Wicked Witch of the West and all that. And it's her when she was younger with, you know, the other woman, the other whatever she's called, fucking not the witch, what this is called. Anyway, it was quite a good show, but not for me. It's not my sort of thing. But you get it on that they're going to start singing, they're going to belt out songs, and that's like any musical movie. I felt like when they did all that, it was really good and really well produced. But then when it went back to a normal scene where we had dialogue, it was just dead weak. Like the whole thing when they go back to New York and like the subway, there's quite some scary bits in there in this. I can imagine as a kid, you'd be shitting yourself. I mean, different sort of horror, but when the pillars of the foundation.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
It was just like, well, if you're claustrophobic or you had a fear of subways, you're going to have one now coming out of this because I've never seen.
It was their fucking smiling faces, wasn't it? And this was the other thing I was wondering, because Return to Oz, have you ever seen that?
Bits of it, yes, I've seen bits of it.
I mean, that is pretty fucking scary in bits. And I wonder, you know, I don't think this had a good reaction at the time. But I wonder if the horror, I don't know, is it horror or scarier elements, you know, if you're looking through a child's eyes, I wonder if that had an impact as well. So having seen something that is a bit darker, like Return to Oz, I wonder if people would retrospectively go, oh, this scary bit isn't too bad.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the other bit. I think like I saw a lot of people saying like the scene with like the Wicked Witch, which is a great scene, but everyone was like, you can see the comments going, when I watched this as a kid, I was petrified of her. And like the parents are going, I'm going to get the Wicked Witch of the West from like the Wiz is going to come and get you sort of thing. So it's a, again, never, I mean, maybe it's more of an American, it's never been on UK TV as far as I know, Dave. I've never come across it. I could be wrong, but I've never had anybody in the UK ever talk about this movie. That's what I find weird, that we've never heard of it, because it feels as if like it was never released over here. as a movie. Maybe it was late 80s, early 80s or something, but we were too young then. So, yeah, I think like the settings are good. What's weird is some of the makeup's good, but that thing on Michael Jackson's nose is fucking weird. It's like he's got an
Distracting, isn't it?
elastoplast on or something. Yeah, his face as well. They almost make him look like he's overweight sort of thing. I don't think he is. I think it's the prosthetics of what he's wearing. I don't understand that thing on his nose because this is pre-plastic surgery, obviously. And I know a lot of it was to do with he had a fire thing for a Pepsi advert, didn't he? That's what they reckon started the obsession with plastic surgery, but I think he's already started doing bits, especially with his nose and stuff, Dave. You know what, Dave, as well, just out of interest, last night, this is completely off the subjects of the podcast, but I'm having my tea and we'd got a curry, so, we were having a curry and I was like, right, lovely, I went and picked it up. And we're talking about different things, about like, our YouTube channel's being quite productive at the moment, which is great. And we're chatting away and Jordan just randomly says, oh yeah, well, the thing is with this, he said, I was talking about, I feel like I'm not really an extrovert. Sometimes I am, and they both just went, are you for real? Like, and I was like, what? She went, Cole, you've always been an extrovert. Like, Sam's laughing her head off trying to eat a curry. Going, you? I said, no, I mean, like, if we go out sometimes, I'm quite quiet. And they both went, what? You quiet? I went, yeah, I'm quiet. And they're like, I don't think so. We're having this like sort of back and forth with Dave. And then something got said about my nose, and that was it. Jordan said something like, well, the thing is, they know it's you because of your nose. And then just walked off with a curry as she'd finished it. And I went, what? And then Sam was just crying. And I was like, just give me a complex. There's no need for the nose jokes. You know what I mean? I expect like you used to say that with some my own daughters just, and then they're both pissing themselves laughing. And I'm like, it's not even funny. Like, there's nothing wrong about like that. Like, nothing to do with this movie. I just about noses because I know he had these done, but I have not had mine done yet, Dave. Obviously, I've got a complex now. No, I think this is nothing to do with it. But yeah, I do honestly think that like there's some great songs, there's some great set pieces, but every time it goes back to the story, I don't think it explains it enough to us as the audience. Like, we know it's the Wizard of Oz and they're going to go and see the Grand Wizard and all that sort of thing. But I feel as if like I'm just waiting for the songs, I think, to see what's next, to see if I recognize some of the songs, which to be honest, you're right. I do recognize a couple of the songs. I've heard them before, but not in relation to this movie. No reference. I don't know where I've heard them, or I've definitely not seen any of the set pieces of this movie. So I think like they spent a lot of money, but ultimately for me, this has just got to stay as a musical on Broadway. I just do not think it works as a movie. And I think the ego side of like this Diana Ross whole thing, controversy, ruins it a little bit. It feels like she's playing Dorothy, so every scene has got to be about Dorothy because that's the whole point of her getting back home. But I feel as if like we know she's going to get back home. When you watch the original, even though it's a classic and it's an old, and I'm with you, in 1939 to go from black and white to colour was unreal. You know, like they do it in Singing in the Rain. It starts off in colour, and then when they're filming some of the black and white movies, it's in black and white, and then it goes back to colour and that. But that's just more an aesthetic thing from the get-go. It's in colour, and that's a late 30s movie, I think, or early 40s. But yeah, with this, I just feel that like there's no explanation. There's no explanation at all of like why we're in this situation or what we're doing with it. I can't work it out. I know all the songs are not from the original, but what an interesting movie! Like completely spins the whole thing on its head, but I don't think it spins it on its head in a good way. It certainly mustn't, because it's never talked about in any conversations with the Wizard of Oz that I've ever seen, ever.
I mean, that could be the circles that we
Yeah, no,
we're
but I
in.
mean, yeah, but I mean, like Sam loves the Wizard of Oz. You'd think like she would have heard about it, or like when you watch something about the Wizard of Oz, there'd be a reference to it. I've never seen anything about this movie to even come across it, which is weird.
Yeah. But I do wonder, like I say, because we're a couple of white guys, so I do wonder if people of colour do watch this and obviously have a warmer feeling towards it because it is more representative.
Yeah.
I will come back and say, so the original director was supposed to be John Badham, so he did things like War Games, he did Short Circuit, which we've covered, but he strongly objected to Diana Ross being Dorothy and actually walked off the project. So, initially when he was on the project, it was still supposed to be a teenage Dorothy. And then they changed it, so they aged her up, but he was already off the project by that point. But again, to my core, I just feel like it's Diana Ross. We can't really say no. So how the fuck can we get around this? But for me, again, I come back to that original story that it's Dorothy. She actually has some growth, because she's being a bit brattish as a kid. She's wanting to run away, and then she finds out that actually I did pretty good. I love being at home, and I love all the people there. And that was her realization. Well, the Diana Ross Dorothy, she's quite happy being at home. And then she's transported away, and then she gets back home. She's back where she wanted to be. Has she learned anything, or what? Where is the growth? So that's one of the biggest sort of issues I had. I think the other issue that I had, that a lot of it I just found really fucking dull. I mean, I just, some of the music was really good, other like middle of the road. See what I did there. So I like I say, there's a few that, and I just love that kind of Motown feel to it all. But yeah, it's just a lot of it's really dull, and it like you say, it's almost like a Temu version. Because you know what the broad story is. She's going to meet the Scarecrow, then she's going to meet the Tin Man, then she's going to meet the Lion. I believe that. So the Lion was, from the actor was from the Broadway musical. But I will say, I think that this Lion was tremendously scary. Well, maybe not tremendously scary, but I don't understand. And I never really understood it from the original, because he's saying how he's a coward, the Lion, but he starts off being quite scary. And it's never added up in my own head. It's like, okay, if you're a true coward, you're probably cowering behind a tree and you wouldn't even interact with them. So it's one of those silly little things that I've never understood. But in this one, they take it even further, because he's even more scary and sort of intimidating to them.
You know what? It's interesting that, because I'm with you, because obviously the whole thing with the original is like, I got no courage, and all that. But straight away, the Lion is the character saving everybody when they're sort of being attacked. And I'm thinking, hang on, how much does he need? How much courage does he really need? Because that's not the same Lion. And I know it's a totally different property and everything, but the whole story stays the same in the background. And I kept thinking that's the one thing watching. I was like, but he's like knocking stuff down and knocking people over, and like he's the one saving the day when the Tin Man ends up with them wires coming down that electrocute him, and the Lion's the one that hits the electricity meter off the wall and everything. And I'm like, but he had no courage. He just let him stand there and fry, wouldn't he? I mean, it wouldn't be much of a movie if the Tin Man died straight away. But I'm with you, honestly. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely was like, but that isn't the character of the Lion. The Lion redeems himself at the end, doesn't he? He gets his courage by talking to the wizard, when we realize it's, pulling the curtain behind. We always say that, don't we, as a bit of a pop culture reference. It's from the Wizard of Oz. You're pulling the curtain behind, sort of thing. That's true. So that never sat with me at all. I could never understand what was going on with that, if I'm being honest. It's really, really strange way of portraying the Lion. I mean, look, I get it. I like the choreography in it. You can see there's some amazing dancers. I mean, when they sort of transform and they're all in like the knickers and bras and dancing of that, Dave, I was like, you can see, not in a pervy way, but I mean, for dancers, you can see they got over 600 dancers. I didn't word that very well, did I then? But what I meant is, like, you can see they are from Broadway. They're not just extras. They were all like high quality dancers, weren't they? So I think as well, it's just again, I can't shake the fact that I'm not interested in Dorothy's journey. I'm interested in what the songs are. And also I'm trying, it's over 2 hours long. It's 2 hours 14 long. And you're like, that's far too long for this story. And the original's 2 hours, but it's sort of like just all I wanted to do is to work out how. And Richard Pryor is obviously, the Grand Wizard and stuff. But
Gus
he's
Gorman.
playing Richard. Yeah, Gus Gorman, basically. And that's the character. I mean, obviously, when they were casting for Superman 3, they were like, well, we'll just get Richard Pryor to play himself. That's the character he's played in a lot of movies. So I get that. I get Richard Pryor and that. And I like a lot of his movies. But I just don't think there's any payoff for any of it. I just think it's weird. I love seeing the old style New York, as much as I love Vegas, I do like New York as well. So it's sort of like, I love seeing that. And obviously seeing the Twin Towers and that. I always like fascinated by movies now where they're included and how the skyline's changed in New York. But yeah, I just think it's a really, really poor movie with some pretty good songs in certain places.
I mean, that could be on the DVD cover, couldn't it? Just... I'd have to agree. When you were saying about the dancers, I thought you were referring a little bit earlier in the movie. They're all in green, aren't they? And then at the whims of the wizard, they all change to red. The fashion has suddenly changed. And again, I thought that was an interesting little twist on just how much of a twat Gus Gorman is. He's just this kind of chancer. Really, he's ended up in this situation, but he's just this chancer from Atlantic City as it happens. But again, I and obviously the way I have to say, I think the whole Wicked Witch thing as well. I don't know. I can't help but compare it to the original. And the original Wicked Witch of the West, she was so intimidating and so iconic. And, for this one, I just didn't feel it in the same way. And the way she sort of disappeared down that massive toilet, at the end.
It's just like,
like you say, I think I would enjoy this, actually seeing the actual stage musical and like trim it down a bit, or maybe if it's actually a musical, time moves a bit differently if you're trying to watch the movie. I would possibly enjoy it more because I would be more forgiving of it looking like a stage play on screen. Like I say, the silly little thing with when the Scarecrow is sort of pinned up against the held up. Well, it's clear he's just holding on. He's not being held. He's not being held there at all. And maybe that's a symbolism thing that I'm just not getting. Maybe, but yeah, like I say, it was dull, but sprinkled with amazing music. And
100%.
like I say, I think it's not just Ease On Down the Road, but that is definitely the one that stands out to me as my favorite. But the whole 70s sound to it, the funk, the jazz and everything, it was all really good. Like I say, not every song was a banger by any stretch, but that's the main thing. And I think if I'd have watched this when I was younger and taped it off the TV or something, I think I would probably feel a lot more warmly towards this one. I think the songs would have pulled me through, because even, gotta be honest, even things like Grease, as a kid, I'd watch that for the songs, but in between the songs, I'm like my attention would be elsewhere. I'd be playing with my Star Wars figures or something. So I think I'd have watched this a lot more as a kid, but unfortunately, I'm watching it as a middle-aged bloke.
When you said I was playing with, I was like, hang on a minute, what's going on
Steady.
here? Yeah, steady now. No, but I just kept thinking, like you, I'm thinking, you know what, and I'm not a massive theatre fan, really. I just sort of get dragged along if we may go once a year, if that. But I do think that show would have been phenomenal to see as a show on Broadway, or if you're in the West End, because the songs, I can imagine the whole theatre being up dancing and everyone just it's like a real good feel good movie, and I could just, it just would work so well. I could understand why it was such a success. And also, Dave, you got to look at it now, like, why have they never re-released it? It was in the 70s, like, something's thinking that could still be a Broadway musical. So It's some great songs, but ultimately with you, like it's sprinkled with some great stuff, but just some terrible acting and a story you just don't give a fuck about, really. It's just like, yeah, the end. See you later, and it ends with some cracking songs. But I'm with you. I've had a couple of the songs on this week actually in the background, so there's something said about it. But I do think as well, what a shame that it's not like mainstream. People would know about it. That's just a shame, really, because there's some really, really good music in there.
Now, do you think if they change Diana Ross for a teenage Dorothy, that changes the whole movie? Because I'll put my cards on the table. I think it does. I think having the teenage Dorothy, you don't have to make this excuse that she's a school teacher, and you don't have to make it about, oh, she doesn't want to move away from New York. You can still have it, this teenage angst and wanting to break out and get away from home and all of that stuff. I think that makes it a lot better.
I think you're probably right. I think if it had been an unknown actress, I think that'd work. The dynamics would work. It's just, and because of her age, you're right. The fact that she's a school teacher, it takes everything away. I think it takes away any of that sort of, because she's a young kid in the original. So you think, well, she was a young kid. And she was maybe a pupil. Diana Ross could have played the teacher, but she didn't want to be sort of second billing to anybody. That would have made more sense, because it's like we're trying to get this young girl home sort of thing. Then yeah, I'm with you. I think that you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a good take, that, to be fair. I didn't think of that at the time.
Well, on that note, Chris, should we get into our final review?
Well, let's go. So, great pick, Maff. I didn't know what to expect. And, laughing aside of my terrible Jacko impression, I actually enjoyed bits of the movie. And again, it was more the musical stuff, because there's some proper catchy toe-tapping stuff on there. As I said, and we both said, Diana Ross is completely miscast in this. She's absolutely terrible. And as I said earlier, it's the weird fascination Jacko has with her, and that he tried to sound like her. Because there was moments in this movie, and I haven't mentioned it, Dave, was when Diana Ross, and I wasn't looking at the screen, was talking, I thought it was Michael Jackson, because of that voice. And I know that isn't Michael Jackson's real voice, because people used to say he obviously had a deeper voice, but that was his sort of celeb voice he would put on all the time. Right. So yeah, it's interesting that, because there is audio of him talking, recordings and that, and he isn't as low, isn't as high as what he used to do. That was his sort of celeb voice, which was a bit of a piss take initially, and then it became a thing. So, but anyway, great soundtrack. I totally think it should have just stayed on the stage. Would I watch it again? Probably not, but I definitely listen to some of the songs again. So I'm going to put it in Elm Street, Dave. It's not the worst movie ever. It certainly doesn't deserve to be in Hill Valley, but yeah, just something that I'm glad I've watched and ticks off the box. And also I can recommend to people who are into musicals, because I think people who are into that theatre type musical movies would probably enjoy this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm too far away from you. I could see myself watching this again, but I do feel like probably the dull bits fast forwarded a bit. So maybe I'm kidding myself. Maybe I'll just listen to the music, because I like we both said, we've been listening to it, watch the movie, but listening to the music as well. So I think I'll put it straight out there. I think it's an Elm Street for me as well. I just found it a real slog to get through, and I couldn't get around the different take for Dorothy. I'm trying to think, what is her real journey? She's ended up back home where she wanted to be in the first place. I don't see that she's grown or changed in any way through the story, and maybe I'm just missing it. But yeah, I definitely think it's not as bad as I thought it could be. I do think, like I say, the music kind of pulls it through, and I'm glad this is out there. But yeah, definitely it's an Elm Street for me.
Yeah, no, good pick, and good breakdown of that, Dave, to be fair. But it's my pick, Dave. And when this comes out, it'll be my 47th birthday or a few days before, because I think this is due to come out the 19th of November. My birthday's the 23rd. If anybody's listening, you want to send me gifts or anything. I haven't got an OnlyFans. I've just got a foot fetish page, Dave. Well, that's what it's not for the podcast. But if you, so I was thinking, well, it's Year of the Stitch Up. Do I go out in a blaze of glory? Do I pick something that I like and you might not like? Sort of gone in between here, Dave. I've picked a movie that I rented once from the video shop. Quite enjoyed it. It's from 1990. I don't think you've seen it, Dave, and I think the subject matter could be something that I think as a movie, how have they even come to put this in a movie and go, I'll tell you what, this is exactly what we needed in a movie. So, Dave, it's directed by, it stars, Dave, Carlos Estevez, otherwise known as Charlie Sheen. It also stars his brother, Emilio Estevez. It's written and directed by Mr. Emilio Estevez, Dave. We're going back to 1990, Dave. And if you've ever wondered what a buddy cop, not really cops, but a buddy type movie based on bin memories like, Dave, this is this one. This one is Men at Work. So let's get into the trailer. Front put the jam.
In the 2 years you have worked here, you have broken just about every city ordinance that pertains to this line of work.
Well, you can't say
this is when I was on with full Young Guns, like really early 90s.
About banging trash cans on P Street at 6 a.m. this morning. You always know anything about this?
No, sir.
Pump it up a little more, get the party.
Used to love this tune.
We throw trash. You said that last year. Yeah,
I kind of want to put some hot pants on and start dancing now. Some neon background.
As a way station on
What
the road
mullets!
I know. Classic.
Look at that perm.
Oh, I liked it.
No.
A lot. Shut up.
Oh, Charlie Sheen's mullet there. That is amazing, isn't it? Oh, the little ponytail, the little rat. Yeah.
Can't beat it.
Chris, this looks fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's happened.
I know.
I'm crashing!
Terrible. Good music.
Yeah. I mean, the same music. We're getting a copyright strike for this one.
Who are those guys?
Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez are Men at Work.
Oh my God, Dave. Can't wait for this.
Oh, fuck me. I bet that is one as well that different people have fond memories of. There's going to be a lot of people who like that at the time. But fuck me, that looks shit.
It is. I did like it at the time, and now I've just seen the trailer for the first time in about 30 years. I'm like, what have I done to myself again? Oh my God. But anyway, I'll take satisfaction that you'll be hating it as much as I will, Dave. So that's our pick for next week. Massive thank you to everyone as always. We do appreciate all your support, guys. If you want to email us, the VHSstrikesback@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media @VHSstrikesback. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So the roll call of honor, a big thank you to Nick, Greg, Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Dan, Justin, Susan, Tim, Matt, Hales, Kent, Lucky Lily Green, Herbs, Jack, Maff, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys, for your support. We do appreciate it. I do apologise in advance, Dave, and can you just go kindly on me because it is your pick the week after. So, Dave, what musical masterpiece, I've been looking forward to this, have you got for this, not next week, for this, because I was thinking there's got to be something to do with this. So, what have we got, my friend?
Well, sometimes I do agonize quite a lot about what is the musical style, what angle do I approach this from? But with this one, it was fairly easy because all of the music is all that kind of Motown era, and so I've gone very much for that, and I've gone for quite a what I think is a catchy number, and it's called "Click My Heels, Get Me Out of Here."
Can't wait. Oh, that's some fucking bloody pace, huh?
Tell you what, the bass is brilliant in this.
loved it.
So good.
Rock the 70s. Like this, please.
Boogieing now.
Yeah. This feels like a Jackson 5 or Jacko solo song around this time.
Got caught in a twister. Now I'm somewhere glam. Everyone's dead, and I don't know who I am. There's light on the sand, I didn't mean love. And I'm scared for my life, with no grain of love. Pick my bill, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I'm lost in sequence from my empire. Pick my bill, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I've had enough this funky frontier.
I've been singing this chorus all week.
And I wish with imaginative, like a knife through the land. That sleigh, baby, sleigh, won't see through this land. The buskins wanna voice the morning bell, but I just wanna smite out of his hell. Pick my heels, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I'm lost in sequence, drama and fear. Pick my heels, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I'm had enough this funky frontier. Pick my heels, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I'm lost in sequence, drama and fear. Pick my heels, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here. I'm had enough this funky frontier. Pick my heels, pick my heel, out the hell, out of here.
Really good one.
Honestly, I once I got that kind of chorus and one that I liked, I was just like, oh yeah, I like that one. And you can very much imagine that Diana Ross type bit coming in. You know, you have the crowd singing almost, and then the main vocalist emphasizing the line. So yeah, it was great. And of course, I do have that bias. I'm listening for the bass more. Love the bass line. And I think I tried this, I think it was like a couple of gigs, but obviously with the bass, you know, I tended to play it more around the groinal area, Chris, holding it down there. But when you pull your strap right up, you kind of have it more around your chest. And I did try it, but I just looked like a twat.
Yeah. I remember that day.
But I think for that bass, yeah, not that strap on, but but I think for this bass line, it definitely requires, you know, the higher bass to be up there. It's really funky, but yeah, a lot of fun putting that one together. So Chris, thank you very much for this one. Thanks to Maff for choosing it, and also we didn't really talk about it, but this is a Thanksgiving movie. We've often got to Thanksgiving time and always come back to, it's about that time of year when I need to watch Planes, Trains and Automobiles, but because they started off with the Thanksgiving dinner, this is also kind of a Thanksgiving movie as well. So thanks for picking that, and it just so happens to be at the right time of year. Thanks to all the listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's not. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right. Ding, ding.
Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid fool. Maybe you crazy something. I ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you at 6 months.
I must break you.